Hey everybody, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty, giving you my weekly comic book review. So sit back and enjoy.
News about comic books, musical instruments, tech reviews, and video games with your host, Captain Frugal.
Welcome back, comic book fans, and welcome back to the channel. Every week, a flood of comics hits the shelves, and it can be tough to decide what to pick up. But don't worry, that's what I'm here for. We're about to dive in to this week's releases to crown one book the comic of the week. Will it be an epic superhero showdown, a mind-bending indie darling, or maybe a hilarious new series that everyone has been talking about? I've read a stack of them, and I've got some strong opinions. So stick around to the very end to see which comic earned the top spot and why you absolutely need to add it to your collection. Feel free to drop your own picks in the comments below. I'd love to see what you're reading. So, let's get into it. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more comic book reviews every week. Well, let's jump right in, starting with none other than Iron Man, issue number 4. We have the writer Joshua Williamson, artist Jan Buzadala, and Carmen Carnero. And this issue, this is actually the 7th volume now of this series of Iron Man. We're going back to a disassembled kind of thing here. Tony Stark is trapped in a high-tech maze, or prison if you will, because he's held and he's been captured by Madame Mask. And he's forced to rely once again on his intellect. And of course, he's not fully suited up as Iron Man to survive the psychological and physical tests that be put up against him. The goal is to push these captured geniuses, this is what Madame Mask has done, into creating weapons for them. And Tony's goal is to break them out. So Stark uses his smarts in this issue. Makes a lot of sense, but there is something here that's interesting. He uses this other genius to create a way to mentally remote control his Iron Man armor. And he acts like this is something new. He's done this years ago. So, I mean, there was a whole big storyline with him controlling it virtually before, so I don't get that part. But can the captured science nerds, as well as Stark, escape this together? Decent art, decent story in this book. But once again, I had to give it a little reduction due to the armor issue being done before, because here's the thing: League of Comics Geeks gave 589 ratings with a 4.0 score. I gave it a little lower with the 3.6. As I said, I don't know. I don't think you could do that and miss the mark so much on it. It wasn't nothing new. But let's look at a few other people. I see a lot of 4 stars here. Lots of 4 stars. Here's a 3-star. This issue was pretty lackluster, which is disappointing after the promising cliffhanger of last issue. The characterization is very rudimentary, and the escape has very little tension. I wanted to see Tony really go through it and be forced to innovate in shocking new ways, but instead he messes around for a page or two, and well, then he gets out. That's a good point there. Let's look at another 3-star. It continues to have the usual strengths, where Williamson has a great voice for the cast, and Carnero is quickly proving to be one of my favorite artists at Marvel. But this issue is going to be a massive disappointment, and the recreation of Tony's escape from the cave that this whole series was sold on is already wrapping up. Yeah, okay. But let's look at it with somebody that's getting a little higher. Boy, I'm seeing a lot of these 3 stars, but here we go with the 4.5. This issue was just great. Williamson has seriously been killing it with this book, but I haven't read any Iron Man runs previous to this take, so I'll have to say with Everest-sized grain of salt. I don't really have a lot to say about this, though. Overall, it's a mixed bag. Next, let's talk about none other than The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 26 with 503 ratings, 3.6 score, mostly positive in League of Comics Geeks. You know what? I landed dead straight with them, 3.6 score as well. The writer is Joe Kelly, pencilers Francesco Mana and Ed McGuinness. And I tend to like Ed McGuinness. Now, this is part 7 out of the 9-issue Death Spiral series. And Spider-Man stands as the last hero against the serial killer villain Torment's rampage. Mary Jane and Eddie Brock and Dylan Brock are directly in danger. Peter can't protect everyone. No, and Torment gains a powerful new ally that shifts the balance dramatically, leading to a horrifying merger involving none other than Carnage. The story mixes intense action, horror elements, and some family drama for Peter. And of course, some of the good old Peter Parker guilt. I'm not, as I said, not big into the Death Spiral, but I'm reading it because it's Amazing Spider-Man here. But I have to say, at least the storyline, I'm going to give it massive props. I probably should up the score because we kill off Paul. Not in this issue, but he's killed off in this storyline, which was fantastic. I'm glad to see Paul gone, and I think you do too. Who gives a crap about Paul? Who likes Paul? I think we all wanted him dead. Good action, pretty good characterization in this issue. It was actually a lot better than I expected. Looking at a lot of other reviews, I'm seeing a really mixed bag here all over the place. So let's share a little bit here. We have a 4-star. I am ashamed again because for a second I can imagine the sound of his neck snapping. He's giving a quote to what Peter was thinking. This is what I'm talking about, Kelly. This is the kind of character drama that I expected from the Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah. Let's look at another one here. 3-star. I don't know enough about Venom symbiote to feel the wrath that Venom fans have for this issue. I didn't think it was outrageous, just boring. Okay. And we have a 2.5. The longer this goes on, the more tiresome it becomes. The preface, this is getting 2.5 and not a 2 because the art was pretty strong and there are some excellent pages that I could not conceivably give the book a criminally low score for. The pace for this story has grown nauseating. But you know what? Let's look at a high score here with a 4.5. Heck yeah, this was the stuff. Carnage and Torment was generally so scary. I really do believe that Torment can be a new mainstay in the Spidey's Rogue Gallery. Spidey's isolated against this monster starts here, and his story is finally coming together. I absolutely love what this whole event has shown. Spidey being pushed to his moral limit. What do you think? I'd love to know. Now, this next one comes out as a surprise. I didn't know this was coming. The Fury of Firestorm, issue number 1, with 1,041 ratings, a 4.4, very positive score on League of Comics Geeks, and I gave it a 3.6. Now, I will say, to preface this, that's a pretty good number of people checking out this book, but will they hold on to issue 2? I don't know. I know of Firestorm. I've read some Firestorm issues. I've never read his complete series, so there's more about him than I'm sure other people will know than I do, but I do know some about him. The writer is Jeff Lemire, and the artist is Raphael De La Torre. This is an interesting story because it opens up in the small town of Bedford, Colorado, and Firestorm's coming, and he is causing major havoc. It builds a sense of mystery in this issue because we're wondering what's going on with Ronnie here. Because I guess evidently Ronnie Raymond and Professor Martin Stein separated. And so that leaves the Firestorm Matrix in a different state. But in this, we do have Firestorm. It appears Ronnie Raymond here as well as in this, but he's being taken over. Like the Firestorm Matrix actually has its own sentience. And we see at the end, too, that Mr. Stein there, Professor Stein, is separated. So is that causing this issue? I don't know, but it's leaving it. What happened here? Because I mean, Firestorm is doing some nasty things. It's a pretty interesting start, and I think if you're a Firestorm fan, this will probably grab your attention. Looking at the other scores here, I am seeing lots of 4s and 5s. This one says, this was high energy and really well written. This has me pretty excited for where this story might go. I've never read any Firestorm prior to this. Oh, that's interesting. The character Firehawk is cool too, and I'm hoping we get to know a lot more. They gave that book a 4. Here is a 4.5. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. I've been waiting for this moment all my life. I was particularly excited about this book, but the prospect of a new number 1 by Lemire, in hindsight, this is so stupid, but I generally lost track of what number I was at in this series. I know it was around the 70s, but it's a new start. Yeah, this is a new start. It's going to be interesting. I'm not seeing, as I'm scrolling through, anything even a 3. I'm seeing 4s and up. Oh, finally found one. 2.5 star. This was an okay issue. I feel like it was a mistake to lead with a story where the hero is not in control, though even an instability has been a part of Firestorm. They should have gone into a different direction. The pacing wasn't great either. Typically Lemire stuff here, where it takes 5 minutes to read the issue. Only thing I really liked was Firehawk. So there you have it. But most people here are really digging the book. Are you checking out Firestorm? Will you check it out? What are your thoughts? And maybe you know a lot more about this character than I do. Feel free to give me a lesson in the chat below. I would love to hear it. Next, I want to talk about Green Lantern Corps number 15. 159 ratings, 3.6 score, mostly positive for the League of Comics Geeks. I gave it, well, 3.7, actually a little higher. I do say the cover on this one did not really, I don't know, I didn't care for the cover on this one. The writer is Morgan Hampton, the artist is Fernando Parson, and, well, overall, the interior art isn't bad. I don't think this got some great characterization in this issue. I think they do a really good job with that. They're building some deep story cuts in here. The Manhunters are back, and they're more powerful than ever before. That's what's going on here. We get some parallax into John Stewart, him trying to get past that. Guy Gardner is leading a team of Lanterns, and he's showing that he goes, I'm not really the leadership type of guy. I'm the one that doesn't follow. And so it's an interesting take and giving a different direction for Guy Gardner. And it's interesting. The art's good. It generally has got positive reviews. I'm looking at the points here. I see 3 stars a lot. So it is a bit of a mixed bag here. This one person here with 3 stars says John Stewart had Forrest Gump leg braces as a kid. I love knowing that. I've been very vocal about not liking and vibing with many of the creative decisions currently with John. But at least one of those decisions was finally dealt with in this issue. Yeah, entire thing was And looking at another 3. I had mixed feelings about what they had John up to in the past few arcs, and it finally comes to head here for a finale of that. I think this issue did okay. The message was perfectly fine, but the build-up to this point was too scattershot. So it didn't land as much with as much gravitas, and the page time insisted it should have had. Okay, so they didn't think it had enough time. But was looking at a 4-star. It really feels like Morgan Hampton has found his groove here, and he tells one of the best John Stewart stories, diving deep into John's psyche. While this kind of story does feel like it's been done before, still Hampton has had John going through a lot since his return, playing catch up with what's happened to his mom, sister, and the Corps, so it makes sense. Yeah, so he believes it made sense that Parallax was in there. So overall, a mixed bag. What are your thoughts on Green Lantern Corps? Are you checking it out? Should you? I think it's okay. If you're a big Green Lantern fan, go for it. If not, well, maybe stay away. The next issue I want to talk about is Black Cat issue number 9. This one surprised me a little bit because League of Comics Geeks gave it 290 ratings with a 3.3 mixed score, and I actually gave it a little higher. I gave it a 3.6, which usually doesn't happen. The writer is G. Willow Wilson, and usually I don't give her that high of scores either. Not a fan of her writing. The artist is Andres Jeanette and Gleb Melikhanov. And here's the thing. First of all, a Black Cat issue should have a fantastic cover that pulls you in. The basic cover that you get with it just doesn't do it. There's some alternate covers that are much better for this. And I know it might seem sexist or whatever, but this is a character that, well, that's part of what sells her. And so it needs to be done. This story continues the second story arc where Felicia Hardy and the Black Cat, if you will, is teaming up with Mary Jane Watson. So we get another team up. They've been loving doing that. Marvel does. And they're going into this negative zone type of place to get an embarrassing bad interview tape for MJ trying to get a job. And it was okay. It features on the Siege Perilous, a mystical gateway to alternate realities. And here's what I guess I liked it a little bit more, because they're jumping to alternate realities, and Felicia and MJ discover what life could have been if they were given a second chance and made different decisions. And I actually thought that was an interesting concept here of what could have done, and them coming to the realization that maybe even though their life isn't perfect, they did appreciate the life that they've had and want to get back to it. Decent art in the issue. I thought the issue was fun, but looking at other people, they're seeing different things. I see a 2.5 star here. It says this was such a weird issue. Like, genuinely random crap just happens for 20 pages until it randomly ends. It seems like Wilson got extended for 5 more issues and had to last minute rewrite everything because what? Okay, I don't know why they said that, but I see 1-star reviews. I was looking at something that's a 4-star. Man, I was right. If you completely throw away Venom MJ and just make it MJ and Felicia, it's the absolute best. This is the wacky fun adventure. And I've said that before. I don't think MJ should have some kind of superpower. The jackpot thing was stupid as can be. The Venom thing, I don't like either, especially if you know the history of MJ and Venom. I don't see how that would have ever happened. Another 2-star, Felicia and MJ get the House of M'd, but will leave no lasting consequences for some reason. Nothing atrocious here per se, but yeah, this was an odd one. It really does have the feeling of a weird barrage of stuff until it ends. Okay, and I get that. It is throwing them in all kinds of different scenarios. Let's look at a 4-star to end it on a positive note. Actually found it pretty interesting as a pretty brief character study for what makes Felicia tick. Unlike, say, Poison Ivy, Felicia is the sort of person who'd secretly want the normal domestic life, given how much she's lost to the criminal life she learned from her father and with Peter Parker at that. Yeah, she gets a life with Peter Parker in this. She ends up marrying Peter Parker and seeing what life would be like. I thought that was an interesting twist, but it seems to be quite a mixed bag. What was your take? Did you like this? Or was this, you thought maybe just a bunch of pages that were a waste? Now, let's talk about G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, issue 327. It only had 37 ratings on League of Comics Geeks, but a 4.1 score. Higher than I gave it, but I liked the issue, and I gave it a 3.8. G.I. Joe is one of those series that have been going for a long time that for a while I can understand why people might have dipped out. I think it got a little too long on the mind control. It just seemed repetitive. But I'm telling you, this last year or so, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero has been a banger. If you haven't been reading it, I strongly recommend checking it out. The writer is Larry Hama. The artist is Andrew Kunkel. Anyway, the issue picks up on an ongoing storyline involving Cobra and Revenge's mysterious new terror drone network. So a covert team of Joes are going in to check it out. CoverGirl, Jinx, Dawn, and Downrange, and we get Sherlock. So we get this new character that's a sniper. She was a pretty cool addition to this. And, well, in G.I. Joe fashion, they get caught. they're sneaking in, trying to be undercover, gets caught, and fun stuff ensues. I mean, when is a nun not a nun? When they're G.I. Joes in disguise, and that's what we got here. Our Joes lose their cover, but, I mean, they're still going in to try to stop this situation that's going on. Will they survive? That's what we get in this issue, and it's action-packed fun. I liked it. And I'm looking at League of Comics Geeks, and here, you ready? I did not see a single person that contributed a review on this issue, which is sad. So I'm going to look up other reviews and things from other sites. It says early reviews are generally positive on this, and it mentions right away the League of Comics Geeks. Readers praise the return of classic Joe action, sort of like I just said there. Solid art and action sequences. The all-female field team, which we have here, fits the Women's History Month, which I think is unnecessary. Why don't we appreciate everybody all the time? Problem solved. And it's just well done. This is a solid issue. It could stand up if you've never read G.I. Joe and you just want to check it out. I think this is good. I think all fans of G.I. Joe would enjoy this. If you're not checking it out, I strongly recommend you do. This might not be my book of the week, but it came in at a close second with a 3.8 score. All right, it's time for my comic book pick of the week, and that's none other than Transformers issue 31 with 467 ratings on League of Comics Geeks with a strong, mostly positive 3.8 score. And I gave the book actually a little higher with a 4. Yeah. Writer is Robert Kirkman. Artist is Ludo Lubali. I think this is a good pair. I like this art style better than what we were getting. The cover that we get with Megatron looks action-packed. It's probably the best cover, in my opinion, out of all of them that are available for this. And that's what this issue is all about. The cover doesn't surprise anybody here. You get what you see here. We learn what Megatron has been going through. We learn about him and how he's becoming what he is. This issue is completely 100% focused on Megatron and his evolution. And I think what's going to happen here, my speculation is, because he's going through failure after failure, getting built up for the Matrix, because of holding the Matrix of oppression. and they're trying to make him the ultimate, leader for them, I guess. And it's a deep dive into this of him failing and failing, and it shows the tenacity of Megatron for his beliefs and what he's doing. And he's changing it now in front of all these Decepticons. I'm wondering, are we going to see Megatron turn into Galvatron here? That's what I'm curious about. Looking at other people's reviews, they are pretty mixed. I'm seeing 2.5, 3 stars, which surprised me. Let's look at why somebody might have given it a lower one. This is 2.5. This issue caught me at a very Megatron-y time of my life, and it's terrible. Almost absolutely nothing happens in this issue at all, except for destroy the foundation of Megatron's character. Now, see, I don't think that. I think this is where we're getting an evolution of the character. Only time will tell us there. Let's look at something that runs counter to that with a 4-star. As a Megatron fan, I was very excited about this issue before and had so many thoughts, and they're pretty good, but I don't think it's as good as it could have been. It's a bit of a tricky situation because on one hand, this issue we need it because we still don't know a whole lot about the matrix of oppression and why Megatron was given it in the first place. And that's a good point. I think we need some. We had a lot of really action-packed Transformer issues lately. We need something that maybe was a little more story-focused here. And another one here, 3.5 stars. Pretty solid issue. Fast-paced. This unironically took me 2 minutes to read from cover to cover. I got news. This is common for nowadays comic books. If you read comic books from the 70s and 80s, they took a lot longer to read. There was usually a lot more dialogue and narration and stuff. Today's modern comic books, I find myself being able to fly through those. So if you are actually taking more time to take in the art, you can read a normal comic book in 5 minutes in a lot of cases. Let's look at another one here to finish it off with a 2-star. Kirkman really has no ideas beyond what fans have written over the past 20 years. Seriously. And Kirkman used to be one of my favorite writers. None of this is original. Just fan ideas and concepts that Kirkman has decided to make canon. Okay. I don't know if I agree with that. You know what? I don't want to end on that note. Let's go with something a little better. Boy, to be honest, I'm seeing a lot of 3s. Let's look at a 4, though. If we can find one here. Here, 5-star. Perfect. End on this 5-star. As a fan of Transformers, one diving into the lore, I found this issue to contradict itself by saying there were great Decepticon leaders before Megatron who essentially started the Decepticons. But then at the end, the character who Megatron was named after made me understand why they made this statement. So this took somebody who was originally going, I don't care for this, to, okay, this makes sense. And maybe that's what's going to happen. Maybe the next issue, it'll change some people's minds because they're going to get a better idea of what's really going on. Well, thank you, everybody. That's my thoughts. Be sure to thank these people, the people that continue to thumbs up and support this channel through Patreon. Without you, boy, this channel would not be possible. Thank you, everybody. Please share your thoughts. Be kind to each other. Let's have fun in this virtual comic shop. And until next time, keep it frugal.